to another podcast episode of For the World. So today we have wonderful guests, Lean in Feminism Club personally from our school. And today we're going to be going more like a deeper dive into gender equality, and Lean in Feminism is going to give their point of view and their opinions on that. So would you guys like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Alex. I'm the co-president here in the Feminism Feminism Club, and part of what we do in our club is a lot of fundraisers and discussions revolving around feminism.
Hi, I'm Lakshmi. I'm also another co-president of the club. I'm president of engagement, so I make sure that all of our discussions we have something going on, and then I'm also part of the fundraiser as well.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay. So, first question, what would a typical day in your or a typical club meeting look like for you guys? Like what activities do you do in the club?
We always have a daily question, so that's your daily opener. And then usually we either have a discussion about a specific topic, and that's either by one of us co-presidents or it is by a member. So like, for example, today we had a presentation on women of color and feminism. We've had topics such as the different waves of feminism, like as we move throughout history, how feminism has changed, toxic masculinity, a whole bunch of topics. And then occasionally we do have speakers coming in to talk to us, just people that we've contacted and said that we want them to come into our organization and talk to us.
Oh, sounds interesting. What do you have like an example of a person that has come in so far?
So next week we are bringing in someone from A Safe Place, which is a domestic violence shelter in Zion, Illinois. And this is the organization that we're actually fundraising for Women's History, which is March. So we brought in, we're bringing in part of one person from their outreach team, and they're going to tell us about what a safe place is, so that when we go and ask for donations in March, we're going to be able to tell people about what a domestic violence shelter is and what a safe place does. We've also had people from another organization that tells us more about, I believe it was domestic violence, abusive relationships.
Yeah, Canwin.
Yes, CanWin. That was the organization that we had a speaker from.
So could you tell us a little bit more about prior projects and stuff? You mentioned fundraising just now and kind of what that looks like and what the purpose is behind the fundraising itself.
All right, so we fundraise during March because March is Women's History Month, and we do an annual fundraiser where we fundraise for an organization. This year we decided to go local with a safe place. That will be our first year doing that. But what we do is we tell people about our organization that we're fundraising for. And last year, I believe we did, if you donated $3, you would get a button. And that was all designed and made by our own club members. Our school provides us a button maker, so it's free of cost to us. That means all the proceeds go straight to the organization that we choose. And so the entirety of February is planned on, it's all planning for the fundraiser and organizing everything and designing the buttons. And then we make the buttons with the button maker. And then all of March is we go out into the community, in our school, to our friends and families, and we ask for donations.
How do you think like all the like donations and the volunteering activities you guys do, how do you think that would empower the women like within your club?
Yeah, I guess an important thing that we do, we teach them to advocate for their feminism, and a lot of people might be a little shyer about talking about it in public. So we kind of just empower women and other genders to use their voices and not be afraid to advocate for what they believe in.
Awesome, that sounds cool. That sounds really interesting. I think it's amazing that your club does so many like promotional activities, because I know like a lot of clubs are kind of revolved around, oh, let's do some fun activities, but your club, it seems really like for a good cause, which is actually kind of amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. So what about the club is meaningful to you guys personally?
I would say I really love our discussions. Those are my favorite days. I also absolutely love our fundraiser. So for me, the discussions really connected to me. I joined as a sophomore. I'm now a senior. So I've been here for like 3 years. And I just learned so much about feminism. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm a feminist before, but now I have all the information to back it up. Like if someone wants to argue about me or ask about what my opinions are, I can confidently say, yes, I'm a feminist, and this is why on any certain topic that comes up.
Kind of going off of that, like how would you both describe what feminism really means to you and how you would mention prior that it was empowering and how exactly does that work for you?
Well, everyone describes feminism as a little bit different to their own person. Like we did this activity, I think maybe in the first month of our club, it just described what feminism is to you. And I would say for me, it's just that women getting equal opportunities in whatever field that is, if that's the workplace, if that's in getting access to health, whatever it is, that women have equal access and opportunities to.
Yeah, I think for me, feminism is just, yeah, it's a lot of what she said about like opportunities and just being able to feel free to do whatever you want, whatever that might be, without facing like negative comments or remarks from other people solely based on your gender.
Okay, interesting. I'm kind of curious, like I know you guys have a lot of impact on the members, but how have the members impacted you? Like how have you grown from leading this club?
We do have members presentations, so we've had 2 or 3 so far. And everyone kind of chooses, whenever you do a member presentation, they kind of choose a topic that they're interested in about. And oftentimes when it comes to feminism, there are a lot of topics. So there are a lot of niche things that if you don't dive into, you don't know a whole lot about. So we've learned so much from our member-led presentation that we wouldn't have known otherwise.
Yeah, I think for me, a really interesting thing to learn about was what feminism means to the South Asian community. I think here at Stevenson, we have like a huge South Asian population. So it was really cool to get more insight about that and about the culture.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now that you guys talk about research, how how do you think that women who are interested in researching about feminism, like how can they do this best? Like, is there certain organizations they can look for? Are there certain websites to go to? Or like what questions should they be asking?
Personally, I would say there's no specific organization. It's just that we always make sure that you have some kind of statistic to back it up, some facts, regardless of whether it's a hard to research topic or if it's a newer topic. There needs to be some concrete facts about whatever you're researching. And although it's a lot of like opinion, there are some facts in everything we do.
I think you should like kind of sometimes you can like combine your passions with feminism, which is really cool. So whatever you're passionate about, just research it and look for the feminist roots within that. So
Yes, I agree. For example, I'm going into nursing, so I have a strong interest in health, and I like researching about how women are treated differently in health because there's a medical bias, which means that people are perceived differently because of their gender, how they look, whatever it is, and that impacts women and how they receive healthcare.
Awesome. So speaking of hobbies and kind of like jobs that women might take up, how do you think that women are impacted, like depending on which like job industry they go into? Like, how do you think that can impact them?
I think it can, if it's like a male dominated industry, it can sometimes discourage like women to enter that industry. Like if it's like something STEM oriented or something like that. So I think that can sometimes be very discouraging for some women.
Yeah, additionally, there's something called pink labor workers, which are careers or pathways that are mainly female dominated. And this kind of makes them seem like lesser sometimes, or just like they're not appreciated as much as they should be because they're a more female dominated field and they're often overlooked.
Like due to these like problems in like the work industry, do you have any like advice on how to like kind of like alleviate these problems?
I think just discussion. I think discussion can really change people's mindsets and it really encourages people to go into something that, they thought they would be excluded in or like a certain field like that. So I think discussions really help bring people out of their shell and really encourage people to follow their passions and dreams.
Yeah, I think also acknowledging like the impact of just either male-dominated fields or there's a phenomenon where women can go and they try and move up in the corporate ladder and they can maybe become managers or so on and so forth. But at some point, even though the company may be mostly people of color or like 50% women, it's all white men at that level, at this higher up administration level. So there also needs to be that acknowledgement that there's still more work to be done.
How do you think like less women in higher up positions, how do you think that affects like society as a whole?
I mean, I guess I can go in specific, but I guess for like if we have less female presidents and political leaders, that means there's less representative laws when it comes to certain reproductive health topics and other things like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point though.
Not only in like presidents, like even in healthcare, when there are like women leaders, that means there's more representation for women, like female patients, and that means that they can get better access to care because there's someone higher up who's looking out for them. And I'm sure that's the same for other companies where their employees might get treated better or might have just be more considered because now they have someone who's higher up who is also a woman who is considering them and knows what they experience.
Yes, that's wonderful. I think that's a really good idea that it's good to have different perspectives and point of views in higher positions and like adding more women can definitely help that. Okay. So outside of the club, what do you guys do like yourselves to empower women or even just like to empower yourselves?
Yeah, so something I really like to do is gardening, and I feel like this allows me to like talk to different types of women who come from different financial backgrounds and different racial backgrounds, and just really gives me a wider perspective of like what feminism is.
Okay, that sounds cool. I think if I want to share a perspective, how might I empower myself? I don't know. Maybe I like your point of like maybe having hobbies, but also you mentioned earlier that discussion is really important, and I like that point as well. Kind of just learning more. I feel like the more I know, the more maybe powerful I feel. So for me, learning is like a big part of like how to make myself feel better. Yeah.
How do you think like one of the ways to like best approach advocating or like doing discussions in a way where everyone's voice that is participating in the discussion is actually heard and that way people aren't overlooked?
I would say the first thing is definitely having the facts. That's really important because people then know what is behind whatever topic they're researching about. And then also having a safe place where everyone can speak and everyone's opinion is valued. And we really make a big point to do that in our club.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also if you're like a really big talker, listening to other people is important because other people might be a little more soft-spoken. So just making sure that all personalities and perspectives are heard.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a good point of like I guess that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, that having new perspectives, like everybody's voice needs to be heard as well. So they're very similar, and I think promoting feminism as well promotes those same ideas. So, and that kind of falls along the lines of equal representation. Yeah. I think, did anybody have any other questions we can ask? Or do you guys have questions for us?
I don't have any questions. How about you?
No, I don't have any questions.
Awesome. Okay, that was amazing. So thank you, Lean in Feminism, so much. I think your club does such amazing things, and all of the promotional activities you do just to empower women more is such a good thing, and maybe there should kind of have more awareness, which is why we're doing that this month about that. So thank you for joining us, and that's the end of our podcast episode, guys. If you have any questions, you can always DM us on Instagram or go give us a follow. at For the World Volunteer, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Thank you.